you, Chairman. Well, first of all, I'm glad that we're holding this hearing today on such a critical issue that's definitely impacting small businesses and their customers in real time. Supply chain delays and shortages have been a concern since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, when our stockpile of critically needed medical supplies and PPE was depleted and demand was growing to protect frontline healthcare workers. And, amid those early shortages, I heard from businesses in Kansas about the impacts of the supply chain breakdown on various industries. Their concerns led me to introduce the Supplies Act in April of last year to support small business, to support small manufacturers that really stepped up to produce some of those desperately needed medical supplies and equipment. And today, our small businesses are still faced with these extremely high shipping costs and delays that are setting them back. And frankly, we heard this earlier too, this has been an issue since even before the pandemic. And it demonstrates that we've been dependent on a pretty precarious supply chain for far too long. And, in today's hearing, I do want to focus on the challenges that shipping and freight industries are facing right now. The Kansas Third is an extremely busy intermodal shipping hub. Our small businesses and the small businesses across the country rely on the Kansas City metro area to facilitate the transportation of so many different products to their destinations. And as the vice chair of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, I've been working to alleviate congestion at ports of trade, and the issue of shipping container shortages. And I'm glad that we have a freight expert here to help us understand the impact on small businesses and how we can support them through these shipping challenges, especially after they've suffered such devastating impacts during the pandemic. So, Mr. O'Brien, I'm really glad that you are able to join us today. And as a freight company that really focuses on small business services, can you kind of speak to the unique challenges that small businesses are facing with the current state of shipping?
Yes, thank you, Representative Davids. So we work with companies of all sizes, and consistent with my testimony, I would say that companies of all sizes are struggling. It is especially challenging for small businesses. But we are getting calls every day from potentially the largest companies in the world that are struggling, and sometimes they are thousands of containers behind. So, like I said, it is not one port, it is not one state or one point of origin. It's just this very unique and unprecedented in my 30-year career crunch from a supply chain standpoint, from a demand and supply inversion. So we're in the footsteps of the small shippers, sometimes quite literally on site. We represent them. We represent them with the steamships. We do everything that we can. As you know, in Kansas City, we have our Freight Quote by Robinson team, and they build online tools that were built with and for small shippers to give them access to LTL pricing at the rates and size and scale of a larger shipper. So we focus on anything that we can do. And right now, within this period, our people are working harder than ever on behalf of customers of all sizes. We're in their footsteps as one of the largest purchasers of transportation services around the world. So it certainly has been extremely challenging, but we're doing everything that we can for companies of all sizes today.
Yeah. And so, mentioning the working with LTL, and I think of us being able to move quickly and be able to pivot, be able to really be agile. And I think we need good infrastructure to be able to do that. As we work on this bipartisan infrastructure package, I'm curious if you can, from your perspective, what investments can we be making in infrastructure that are going to result in that timely and efficient and effective moving of all of those goods?
I think anything that helps move the flow of goods. So expediting at our ports, the American Transportation Research Institute is a good place to start. They publish a list of the largest supply chain choke points, and those are highways, not ports. Those are most of our major metro areas. We have a challenge with available drivers, and congestion is not helping them at all. It's making the job more challenging. It's delaying revenue for them. So I would want the focus to be broad across the supply chain because the challenge really is broad across every mode. There are choke points today.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And thank you again for everybody participating today. And I yield back